Hi guys, we have Olabayo Balogun as a technical writer with us today. Bayo, I would like you to introduce yourself.
So my name is Olabayo Balogun. I am a technical writer at the Bob Africa. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know what technical writing is all about, but let's just say I'm one of the guys that ensures that a lot of us can have technology that can span 20, 30 years, because people, like for example, when you see apps like Microsoft Word document or spreadsheet or Excel, those applications are over 30 years old, and you find that the people who created it are probably retired. The people who are working on it now were probably not born when that app was created. So there are some people who ensure that there's enough documentation about software architecture and all of that to ensure that newer engineers can come on board and work on pre-existing software without finding any problems with it. So basically, that's what I do for a living.
What inspires you as a technical writer?
I would say what inspires me about technical writing is when I come across software that is so hard to use. I'm like, I go on YouTube and I'm not really seeing much about how to use it. Or in software, technical writing doesn't just extend towards applications. Software engineers also need technical writers, because there are a lot of times that there are some topics you want to grasp and you don't have enough material that explains what you need to do and how you need to do it. A lot of the times, people that write software programming documentations are so smart, and they assume that everybody is as smart as they are at that thing, and then they write in such a way that it's only someone that's at their level I can understand what they have written. So that was more or less what inspired me. Frustration of having to use software that I did not understand, or having to learn programming languages and encounter some problems that I could not surmount on my own because the documentation around it wasn't very clear.
You were a software engineer before you switched into being a technical writer.
Yes, you have to be a software engineer before you can become a technical writer. What else do you do?
Is it a step forward from being a software engineer, or is just another line of software engineering?
Okay, so it's a supporting role to software engineering. It does not mean that a technical writer is not longer a software engineer. I still write code on a daily basis. You can check my GitHub. So, but technical writing for me is something that I more or less use to advance my skill as a software engineer. That's what a lot of people don't understand about technical writing. But I'll break it down like this. They say that to teach is to learn twice. So a lot of times, in order to explain something to someone, you need to know it so well that and understand it so well that you yourself are learning that thing over and over again, and it more or less reinforces knowledge on your end. So I don't see technical writing as a full-blown career for myself. I just feel it is an extension of what I can do as a software engineer, and it kind of makes my journey as a software engineer a lot quicker and a lot better than just going through the normal software engineering.
You know, in my head now, there's a mix of being a product manager and a technical writer. Can you explain the difference?
A product manager, his work is more of in the management role. The product manager is looking at how does my product enter the market, who am I competing with, how do I manage my developers and all the entire team to ensure that my product is world class, to ensure that they deliver updates frequently. Yeah, a lot of us have used a lot of apps that they keep giving us updates frequently. Those things are not very easy. It takes strict management to ensure that your team can meet up with deadlines like that. Looking at the pricing strategy, a product manager is more or less an entrepreneur who understands code and how to manage software engineering teams. That is basically what a product manager is. A technical writer doesn't interface as much with the market as a product manager. So what a technical writer is basically doing is providing documentation. Okay, somebody wants to Google how to use so software. A technical writer has more or less written documents or something on how to use it. For example, I wrote an article on how to use Notion, for example. And if you are going to use that product now as a new user, I can point to that article if you're having problems using Notion. That's just an example. What that means is that as a technical writer, in terms of interfacing with the client, I create documentation that makes it easier for the client to use a particular software that software runs on, so that even if the software engineer that is currently working on that project leaves that project and someone else comes to work on that project, the person should be able to see the software documentation and be able to catch up with what has been going on that project. Because the code is not that easy to understand when you're not the one that wrote the code. Even software engineers forget the code that they write themselves. So that is why documentation is important. Here that you have to comment your code a lot as a software engineer. So a software technical writer takes that commenting to the next level by telling that, okay, the update 1.0 of this app had so features. This was how it went. This was how it ran. These were the APIs and all of this. 1.2 has so features, so that when people are trying to trace the origin of an app, you should find some of these things for apps like WhatsApp and all of that. When you see version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, and they have the features that came with those versions, and that is the work of a software technical writer. It's more or less an historian for apps, both the ones that the client interface with and the code that powers that application.
Apart from the fact that a technical writer has to be a software developer, a software engineer that understands the rudiment of coding, programming, what other skills are required from a technical writer?
Okay, you need to know how to write, and not just writing as in stringing together words together. You need to be able to write in such a way that somebody that doesn't understand that thing that you're talking about should be able to see what you have written and be able to follow through. So you cannot just say you are a technical writer because you know how to program and you know how to write essays. It goes beyond that. You need to be able to visualize a product or a problem as a newbie. Like, you have to put yourself in the shoes of, I don't know anything about this thing. So it means that you have to be very detailed when you are writing, and you have to be very descriptive. You have to go over. There are times when I'm writing on a document, I would have to write code myself, like maybe how to create a variable. I will write code and show the user what I have written. I would explain the code to the person using comments in the code, show the person the results and all of that. So you have to be very descriptive in writing, and you have to be able to break down complex concepts in such a way that people find it very easy to understand. How I knew I was going to become a technical writer was when I wrote articles and people were like, guy, when you wrote this thing, anybody can understand what you are doing. Typically, people don't understand what code is about. But when somebody writes something to the point that people are telling you that, guy, I literally understand everything you are saying, even though I don't do this thing for a living, then it tells you that, okay, I am able to communicate with the average person. Then you can see that I'm ready to become a technical writer.
What would be your word of inspiration to get into the field of technical writing?
I think my first inspiration is be consistent, and like that consistency is very key. So I didn't exactly set out to become a technical writer. I don't think people set out to become a technical writer because it's not a very known field in software engineering like industry. So what I just wanted to do was I just wanted to write about stuff that I'm learning or I have learned, and more or less share that knowledge. So when I say consistent, I mean that if you are going to say you want to write, don't say I will write tomorrow or I will write next month. Procrastination doesn't work if you want to learn how to write. Neither does it work if you want to learn anything. But what I did for myself was I set a target that every day I would write. So for the past, say, roughly 10 months on LinkedIn, I have written an article or a post every day. Whether I felt like it, whether I had headache, whether my phone nearly died, it doesn't concern me. I woke up every day and you would find a post from me before 10 a.m. every day. People started resonating with the content and started giving me ideas like, yeah, you can write probably as a technical writer or stuff like that. Someone said, okay, set up a blog. That was when a CTO of an organization told me, okay, you could do a lot more with what you're doing. I like the way you write. But you know, the way LinkedIn is that you cannot really write very long pieces of articles. So I'll write a bit, cut it so that LinkedIn can accept it. So it suggested taking on blogging about it. And then, okay, I said, I'll try that. So I think I started around December, and every day since December, I have written an article on Passionate. So I feel that consistency helps you build your skill a lot quicker. It helps you attract an audience. There are times that people even leave comments under the post. There was a post I posted recently and somebody was like, would you like to write for me? So you'll find that if you write consistently and you keep getting better at it, people will start reaching out to you to write for them. So I wouldn't say I pursue technical writing as a career for myself. I want to be a software engineer. But in the process of documenting my learning, people started reaching out to me, okay, come and write for us. Would you like to be a technical writer?
What do you think can change the ideology of technical writers in Africa? How do you feel technical writers can actually be more than what we have currently that writes articles for the future?
I feel that the way technical writers can evolve, the field of technical writing is not one that prioritizes innovation as one of the key metrics as to how you write. they more or less prioritize how simple you can make things to understand, things understandable for people. So I feel that one way in which technical writing can evolve, and it's something I'm trying to incorporate in how I write, is that when we are writing, especially things that involves code and explaining how they work, we should look at things in such a way that we also kind of write in a way that, or we have spin-off of our writing that tackles possible errors that can occur while you are using a product, or while you are learning how to write code that solves a particular problem. Because you find out that a lot of people get frustrated with tech when things don't go their way. And there are a lot of ways in which you can literally use tech in such a way that you get confused, and the people who made itself will struggle to be able to fix what's done. I feel that one way in which technical writing can evolve is that if you can write in such a way that we can just try because you are more or less technical in nature, you know how to do things that will produce the right result. But if you can just try to remove all of that technical knowledge from your head for a bit and probably try and write code in a way that it will fail, and it will fail in ways in which you can understand or predict the ways in which other people would make mistakes and fail in this thing, then it's possible to catch all the possible errors that people can face and then document them. So when a person faces so error, a person can reach out to your documentation. Okay, this possible error, this is what caused it, this is how to fix it. Because that is why platforms like Stack Overflow and the likes exist. But that in itself is not as perfect as it should be, because if you go to Stack Overflow with the problem, the kind of suggestions you will get sometimes is more advanced than the problem you're going to have. A way in which you can document code and problems within the scope of that project by exploring all the possible, or at least all of the most possible errors that are likely to happen in that project, to make learning a lot easier for people that are learning software engineering, to make onboarding new clients on the platform a lot easier, because there are a lot of ways in which clients give in the wrong input or do the wrong things, and they cannot understand the feedback they are getting from the client.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, that's like senior engineer status, so I'm not gonna lie to you.
What runs around the whole yard without moving?
What runs around the yard without moving? That's a tough one. Okay, I'm gonna go with the fence.